Meghan Markle is less Martha Stewart, more Maria Antoinette in her new Out of Touch Netflix show with Love Meghan. This is from Decider.com, which regularly they review television shows. It's not a typical royal commentary website. You said that you didn't mind it, is what I interpreted. Is that the correct reaction, that you didn't mind the show?
I didn't mind it at all. In fact, I found it rather pleasant, very, very gentle, nice wallpaper. It was pretty. It really annoys me when people have commented after, well, the pylon of criticisms annoyed me. But people said, well, where was the substance? Where was the substance? This is a lifestyle show. It's frilly, it's frothy, it's pleasant. Oh, it's like sitting there having honey dribble in your mouth. I mean, what do you expect? What kind of substance? And I was pleasantly surprised. I watched it because I was doing a radio interview about it immediately afterwards. I've only watched the first one. And I thought, well, this is quite interesting. I even picked up one or two little tips, you know. It was interesting to watch Meghan making candles, which she hadn't done before. I thought it was most interesting. You know, you have bath bombs, and if you put a bath bomb in, you get all that stuff that comes out of it, all the flowery bits and everything gets stuck down your plug hole, and you've got to clean the bath. Well, she decided to put all those bits and pieces in a little bag, little tea bag with a ribbon, and put that in your bath. That's quite clever, isn't it? So I don't understand why everyone in the media seems to have decided to say it's absolutely the worst thing ever on television. I thought it was quite charming. Good on her.
All right, folks. Meghan Markle's latest Hollywood move is causing major controversy. Royal experts are clashing over her Netflix show with Love Meghan, with some calling it vulgar, staged, and completely out of touch, while others claim this is just Meghan rebranding herself for a new audience. But here's the real question. Is Meghan actually winning in Hollywood, or is she desperately clinging to relevance? And why is the royal family completely ignoring her latest stunt? Let's break it all down. Royal commentators Jennie Bond and Duncan Larcombe are completely divided on Meghan's latest move. Jennie Bond argues that Meghan is simply rebranding, trying to...
You spent a lot more time than most people with Princess Diana, which of course I'm very, very envious of. Can you imagine Diana doing something like this, or is this not necessarily the path she would have gone down?
No, I don't think Diana would have done anything like this. Not because it was beneath her, but because she had different. She did have rather more serious ideas and campaigns, perhaps. But this is what Meghan Markle, as she was good at before she met Harry. I mean, she was an influencer. She was a stylist or a lifestyle guru. She was doing very well, and she's gone back, as she says, to her roots. Why are we knocking her? Why are people making all these unpleasant headlines and knocking her? I just think, I think it's become quite cruel.
What about Fergie? Because Fergie's kind of spent time in that space. Could you see her doing something similar?
Oh yeah, I think I could. Yeah, absolutely. She has spent time in that space. She is a rather frothier character than perhaps Diana was in as Diana grew on. I mean, I went to Angola with Diana, and she really enjoyed the fact. Well, enjoys a difficult word, but she got right into the facts of that very, very difficult trip. She wanted to make a difference in a completely different field. But I just think Meghan has shown that she is good at what she's doing, and we should say, well, you just get on with it. If you don't like Meghan, don't watch it. If you don't want to know any lifestyle tips, go and watch something else.
There are plenty of other options on Netflix. Duncan, did you... I have a very hard time visualizing you on a sofa sitting through with Love Meghan. So be honest with me. Did you do this? Did you watch with Love Meghan?
I respect Jennie Bond. I could barely disagree with her more. I mean, the reason that Meghan has got this show is because she sat down on a sofa and accused the British royal family of racism, and then followed up with a whole load of truth bombs. She's there puffing around about love and kindness and friendship and family, and yet she's estranged from everybody in her family apart from her mother. And since Harry has married her, he is now estranged from everybody in his family. I mean, come on. Nobody needs to know tips about making beeswax candles or pretty average looking cakes and a cup of tea from Meghan. This is just brand Meghan. It's what she's been after. She's wanted to be famous all her life, and now it's finally come along, and she's just milking it. And I best respect to Jennie Bond. Obviously, you have your opinions, and you know you're welcome to them, but absolutely nonsense. What a stomach bile enduring load of nonsense her shows are. They are awful.
I do appreciate the fact that you were so generous to Jennie, because that could have gotten ugly, but you did continuously remind us that she is a rock star. So I want to say thank you for that. Now, Jennie, do you feel at all like this was a PR exercise and the objective was to discredit some of the rumors that have circulated, starting with the Telegraph's Valentine Lowe piece about bullying allegations that premiered right before the Oprah Winfrey interview, and then most recently in September, we had the Hollywood Reporter article that interviewed 12 employees, past and present, of Harry and Meghan. And in the Vanity Fair piece that was in January, they mentioned some unflattering stories as well. If you were sitting in a room with her and a publicist, can you imagine that a discussion that might take place is, let's reintroduce you, let's tell the people who you are, and that this might be a way to do that?
Royal commentators Jennie Bond and Duncan Larcombe are completely divided on Meghan's latest move. Jennie Bond argues that Meghan is simply rebranding, trying to move away from the royal victim narrative and into a lifestyle influencer role. She claims Meghan is smart for distancing herself from the drama and focusing on something she loves. But Duncan Larcombe is not buying it. He rips into Meghan's Netflix show, calling it a desperate attempt to stay relevant. He points out that Meghan is still clinging to her royal title, still using her connections, and that this rebrand is just another calculated PR move. And honestly, Larcombe has a point. Because let's be real, if Meghan really wanted to move on from the royals, why is she still introducing herself as the Duchess of Sussex? Why does everything she does still revolve around that royal connection? This is why people aren't buying it. Because Meghan doesn't actually want to move on, she just wants to control the narrative. And guess what? It's not working.
No, I think if I was sitting with her, I'd say, gosh, you've got this great Netflix contract. You've got to fulfill it. What are you good at? Oh, that's what you're good at? Yeah, why don't we do that? Make some money, which is the prime objective, and see how it goes down. And that's what she's doing. She's earning her living. They left here to become financially independent. So she needs to do something, and she's doing it. She's doing it, in my humble opinion, really rather sweetly.
Oh, Jennie Bond. Jennie Bond came today with her boxing gloves, but also hugs. And I really appreciate that about her. Duncan, talk to me about the idea of changing public perception. It doesn't sound like from what you've seen, if you were not a Meghan Markle fan before, this would change your mind.
Well, look, I mean, I'm coming from this from the angle of somebody who got to know Prince Harry over the years. And we've talked about this before, Kenzie. I mean, you know, what does Meghan think she's trying to do? What is she trying to achieve? She's just trying to make herself famous and milk that fame. And you heard her I heard her in that series actually correcting somebody, saying, no, I'm not Meghan Markle, I'm the Duchess of Sussex. It's vulgar, it's manipulative, it's unnecessary, and I'm not surprised that it's being absolutely panned by the critics, because frankly, if I need to know how to make a cake, I'll ask my 12-year-old daughter, who's cooked far better cakes than the looks of Meghan's one, in her home economics class at school.
Jennie, I have to ask you about that moment between Meghan Markle and Mindy Kaling, where Mindy is super funny and super sweet. And she said, people won't believe that Meghan Markle ate Jack in the Box or loved Jack in the Box, something to that effect. And Meghan replies, so funny you should say that. I'm Meghan Sussex now. Can you talk to me about protocol, which I think we could all agree Harry and Meghan have thrown out the window in some way, shape, or form. But is Meghan Markle's last name, as a member of the British royal family, Meghan Sussex, or is it a title that evolves? Because it's my understanding that Princess Diana was the Princess of Wales. Technically, Queen Camilla at one point was the Princess of Wales, even though she opted not to utilize that. Now Catherine is the Princess of Wales. I was under the impression that titles evolved. And on Archie and Lily's birth certificate, their last name was initially Mountbatten-Windsor. Is Meghan making a choice to adopt this as her last name? And that's a choice, or does protocol dictate that she is Meghan Sussex? Do you know? Is that a relevant question?
Now let's talk about what the critics are saying, because folks, it is not pretty. Meghan's show is being called vulgar, staged, and painfully scripted. Critics say her guests look like they're in a hostage situation, nervously nodding and agreeing with everything she says. And honestly, they're right. One media insider even said, "This isn't a lifestyle show, it's a vanity project." And that's exactly it. Meghan isn't here to inspire anyone, she's here to make herself look good. And here's where it gets even worse. People are calling Meghan's advice completely useless. She's literally out here telling people to sprinkle flower petals on their breakfast and talking about living with intention. Like, really? Who actually needs a tutorial on that? This is why the show is flopping, because it's painfully clear that Meghan is still out of touch with real people. If she wanted to rebrand, she should have done something real, not another fake, scripted PR stunt.
Based on
yes, I think it is. It was rather pointed the way she did. She bridled a bit, didn't she, when she was called Meghan Markle? And I think it would have been much kinder. And I do slightly criticise her for this, in that I think she could have just said, "Oh, hang on, let's stop the filming. Oh, Mindy, actually, my surname's Sussex." I thought, she could have done that. That would have been a better way of doing it. However, having said that, it's quite complicated, really. If you think. Yes, Diana wasn't known as Diana Wales, but she was the Princess of Wales, and similarly Camilla, similarly Catherine. But the children, George and Charlotte and Louis, were first of all Cambridge, because they were the Duchess of Cambridge. So it was George Cambridge. Now it's Wales. At school they're known as Wales, George Wales, Charlotte Wales. As for I know. And of course, in the military, it was Harry. Harry was known as Captain Wales, and similarly, William had the surname Wales. But the correct surname, or the one on the birth certificate, is Mountbatten-Windsor. You can see it is quite complicated. Yes. It's a matter of choice, really. And yet, you think of Duchess of Edinburgh, Sophie. We've called her for years, because she was the Duchess of Sussex, Countess of Sussex. We called her Sophie Wessex.
Yes.
So, you pays your money, you takes your choice. She's done absolutely nothing wrong by saying that she wants to be known as Sussex. And I can get it. Some women like to take on their husband's name and their children to have the same name. I don't get it. I'm a feminist. Actually, I thought Meghan was too.
Me too, yeah. Jennie Bond. Me too.
Yeah. Why change your name? My husband's name isn't Bond. If it was, he'd be James Bond. But he's actually...
He's actually James Pelt. He should have changed his last name when he married you.
I gave him the choice, but I wasn't going to change mine. Why should you? However, she's perfectly within her rights to say that the family name is Sussex.
Okay, Duncan, I want to ask you something that Richard Eden claimed just today. He said that his palace insiders commented that Meghan, that scene being left in the final series, because Meghan is the executive producer, was clearly a warning shot. Richard Eden says, one palace source told me, confirming that Meghan seemed to be making a very public point of emphasizing how much the title meant to her, and by implication to Harry. Do you have a response to that?
Yeah, well, I do. And Jennie would have to agree with me on this, whether she likes it or not. The last thing you'll ever find a member of the royal family do is to actually correct a member of the public or somebody that they're on air with. I mean, Prince William, back in the day, I said, what do I call you? And I had a Jack Wills, it's a designer, cheap designer top on, that said Wills on it. He said, well, you can call me that, it's on your shirt. They take this with modesty. They don't use it as weapons. They don't use it as, oh, I've got to take you to one side here and say, look, actually, I'm the Duchess of Sussex. It's vulgar. It's unpleasant. And frankly, I think Meghan she'll always be Meghan Markle in my eyes. I don't, the title that was bequeathed on her by the Queen and her husband. I mean, I don't think she deserves it, and I frankly wish that we would. I wish that the royal family would strip her of that title because she's cashing in on it, and it's disgusting.
Now here's where things get really interesting, because while Meghan is desperately trying to push this show, King Charles, Prince William and Princess Anne have completely ignored it. According to insiders, senior royals have zero interest in watching with Love Meghan. But because they don't need to. They know exactly what this is. Another PR stunt, another attempt to stay in the headlines. Angela Levin says it best. The royal family knows Meghan's game and they refuse to play along. And honestly, that's the best move they could make. Because if they responded, they'd just be giving her more publicity. And let's not forget, Meghan desperately wants a reaction. She wants King Charles to say something. She wants William to acknowledge her. But instead, they've left her on red. And that is what's driving her crazy.
There is actually one member of the royal family who will correct you or corrected me in public, and that was Prince Andrew.
I was going to say, is it Andrew?
Oh, really? Yeah.
At the Windsor Castle fire, when I asked him, "Oh, how's your mother doing? How is she?" He looked very affronted and said, "Her Majesty the Queen." Blah, 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 blah. So some members of the royal family will, but I do agree, and I already made the point. But I think it was clumsy and unnecessary to make that correction. She didn't say Duchess; she just said Sussex.
Jennie and I guess Duncan too, you both have been in the industry for so long and worked, I imagine, on the print side of things at one point or another. You have noticed how print media continues to call the Princess of Wales, Catherine, Kate Middleton. Mm-hmm. I know it drives people crazy that, there's this, they want the respect that they believe Catherine deserves as the future queen to be called Catherine, Princess of Wales. Can you talk to me about I guess the protocol that goes into, to me, it feels like digital archiving. I feel like they still refer to Catherine as Kate Middleton and Meghan as Meghan Markle because of this digital catalog. They're trying to ensure that if they write a new article about Meghan Markle or Meghan Sussex today, it's going to link to the same content that they wrote 10 years ago about the woman that was on Suits. I don't think it's a lack of respect. I feel like it's just a way that we catalog things digitally. And I say this stressed and strained because I see a lot of the comments where people are angry that the word Kate Middleton is written somewhere. Am I agree or disagree is what I guess what I'm asking.
Catherine was known to everybody as Kate almost all of her sort of childhood, all the way through school and university. She was always called Kate. When she married Prince William in 2011, suddenly it was Catherine, and all the officials were told, right, I only refer to her as Catherine. That's fine. Kate's short for Catherine. I don't think there's anything other than common sense with that, really. In terms of Meghan,
excuse me, I know someone who was at school with Catherine who said she was always known as Catherine.
I've actually heard that too, that she was always, so I've just been like, I'm going to call her Catherine because she's asked that we call her Catherine, but that's
okay. I'll bow to both of you and say some people knew her as Catherine, but she was certainly known as Kate. Certainly known as Kate.
By some people.
Yeah.
So the big question, is Meghan's Hollywood comeback actually working, or is this just another flop? Look at the pattern. Every time Meghan tries something new, it fails. Spotify deal? Cancelled after one season. Netflix docuseries? Lost millions of viewers after the first few episodes. Archetypes podcast? Completely forgotten. No. Her big comeback show is getting mocked by the industry. At this point, Meghan is running out of chances. Hollywood has already lost interest, and now, even her own former fans are turning on her. And here's the truth. Meghan doesn't actually want to be a lifestyle guru. She just wants to stay in the headlines. Because if she really cared about helping people live better lives, why is she still obsessed with fame, luxury, and royal status? This is why her show is doomed to fail. Because at the end of the day, people see right through it. And if Meghan doesn't wake up soon, he's going to be completely irrelevant.
Before I wrap up this conversation about, kind of humility or not correcting people, reminded me of the video it came out last week, Jennie, of Muhammad, a little boy, asking Prince William, "Are you the king?" And Prince William quickly says, "I'm his son." I don't know. Did you see that? And if so, did you have a reaction to it? Because that to me I thought that was so sweet. It told me that Prince William is humble and kind. And I loved the way that he not only elevated his father in that moment and respected his father in that moment, but I just also loved the way that he referred to himself as his son, and you felt, a family, a tight little bond.
Yeah, I think he's showing himself to be more and more, shall we use that awful word, relatable. I think he is connecting with people in an informal and lovely way. And I think, after all they've been through, there's a huge amount of affection for the prince. And wherever he goes, and he's great with children, actually. He really is. You can see he's a dad when he's interacting with kids. You really can. So, yeah, that was a very charming moment.
All right. Well, Duncan, did you have anything to add before I say goodbye?
No, I totally agree with Jennie on that. Yeah, William's ability with children didn't just stem from him being a father. He's always been great, as Jennie knows. Jennie knows and has covered him way back. So, yeah, no, nothing to add.
Royal experts are clashing over whether this is a smart move or another desperate PR stunt. Critics are calling the show fake, scripted, and completely useless. King Charles and Prince William are ignoring Meghan's latest stunt. And now Hollywood is turning on her. Is this her final chance? At this point, Meghan is running out of moves. And the question is, how much longer will Hollywood keep giving her chances? Because if this show fails, it could be the end of her career. So now, the big question. Is Meghan Markle's Netflix show a stroke of PR genius or a total disaster? Is she rebranding or just clinging to relevance? And is Hollywood finally waking up to the truth about her? Let me know in the comments.